Hi, everyone. Welcome to Soul Talk. I'm Patty Malik, and today we have Beth Herndobler with us. And we were just chatting behind the scenes there, and sorry to keep you waiting, but we had a wonderful connection, and I'm so excited to have her here. She is an energy healer, a certified intuitive strategist, a medium, and divine channel. And we're going to be talking about resetting our neural pathways to flow in the matrix of abundance. And Beth is also going to take your questions. I see many of you have typed in already. You can hit *2 on the phone. Beth has asked to really focus on what area most needs flushing so that she can help you to open and receive and manifest abundance in all areas with ease and grace. So if you can kind of formulate your question into that, we'll be happy to answer some questions. If you're not familiar with Beth, she is a former trial attorney that turned energy healer and intuitive spiritual counselor. She communicates with your higher self, spirit guides, angels, and ancestors for messages, guidance, and healing. And she combines this guidance with a breakthrough technique that identifies and clears blocks, stuck points, and patterns quickly so that you can open to a life that's lived on purpose and in abundance with ease and grace. And this is her first time with us on Soul Talk, and I'm so excited that we aligned. As I always ask my guides to align me with the people I need to bring to all of you, my Soul Talk audience. And it always magically happens. I get guided to look over here, or somebody shows up in my inbox, and that's how I found Beth. And so I want to welcome Beth to Soul Talk. Welcome, Beth. I feel like it's long overdue. You should have been here a long time ago. You're so fantastic. Welcome.
Thank you, Patty. It's delightful to be here and to just feel everyone in your community. It's my honor and privilege. So thank you for inviting me.
I am thrilled.
It's been long overdue.
Yeah,
I can feel that too.
Long overdue. But, everything always is in divine timing, so it's all in perfection. And possibly, the audience has grown to a point where the people that are showing up, need you now. So that's one way that I always kind of look at it. It's always this kind of beautiful dance that we do here. It just is all in perfection. So we're happy to have you. I would love to know, first of all, because I don't know a lot about, how you all came into your work. We didn't talk about that, but how did you first discover your connection to the angelic realm?
Well, I've always had it. I've always been really connected. I didn't have the words for it when I was young. I remember around 9 or 10, we were at that time, my family went through a bunch of iterations of religions, but at that time we were Catholic, and I loved church and wanted to be a nun. And I, looking back, know that the reason that I wanted to be a nun was because in church, the angels were talking to me and I to them. And it really didn't have anything to do with being a Catholic nun or a nun of any organized religion, which I am not at this stage of my life feeling great connection at all to religious organizations or the religiosity of it all. But that was my way of connecting. And then through the course from about that time, until I was in my, I would say late 20s, most of the information that I allowed to come through had to do with crisis, chaos, tragedy. That's where I became, the seeds were sown for the work that I do now, because I was always the one who could calm the situation, or the crazy person the person who was going crazy, I could talk them down, and it was a rather out of body kind of experience where I would be mindful that my boyfriend's brother, who had a shovel in his hand and was high on PCP and had already hit his sister with the shovel in the ribs, that I was not in danger because I was bringing through the divine and what he needed to hear in order to feel okay to put that shovel down and calm down. And so as I moved further into my life and into being a trial attorney, I started noticing that people always came to me unsolicited, including coworkers that I hardly knew, to tell me their deepest, darkest secrets. And again, I didn't really understand at that time that I was, in a sense, I mean, it wasn't the kind of channeling I do now where it's a direct line and I am very conscious of connecting with the divine, but I was bringing forth information that's in line with what you just said about how you get your speakers, your guests for your show. You ask the divine to lead you to it. And so that's what I was doing without being conscious of it. I was bringing people to me that needed help, and yet it was in that way, in that unconscious way, was kind of stressful to hear people that you hardly know. There's no professional context for it because I'm not doing that work. I'm your colleague at work, and then you're coming in here to tell me your horrible secret, and I'm supposed to hold that. So it took a long time from that point, probably like late 20s, early 30s, to get to the end of my career where it was just the divine calling and what I was doing to my body by not answering that call, that I just woke up one day hungover on the couch in the middle of the week, not an unusual circumstance, and certainly not that unusual. I am not trying to paint all trial attorneys as heavy drinkers or alcoholics, but it certainly is a coping mechanism that is used in that profession, in that area of the practice of law, and I definitely fell into a deep habit of soothing myself that way. And I woke up that morning and heard a voice, as clear as my voice is right now, that said, "You will not survive if you continue living like this." And I burst into tears. I couldn't do it right now if I let myself, which hasn't happened in a really long time. The energy today is very sensitive. And I was looking at the pictures on the coffee table of my grandsons, who were then not quite 3, and out here in California, I was in Chicago, and I said, well, all right, that's it. I got to do it. And then through a twist and turn of how, and the economy and the real estate crash and the bank crash and all that, I came out here on a wing and a prayer and ended up, the divine timing aligned for me to care for those little ones for a few years. And they, especially, I call them the Buddha boy and the accountant, because the one is all very matter-of-fact, very talkative, very focused on how is this going to happen, and he loves money, not in a bad way, but just, you know, he likes the counting of it. That's why he's the accountant. And the other one, the Buddha boy, he is so in touch, like he's a transducer. He can take a crystal and put it on his heart and close his eyes, and then the energy of the crystal transfers to his heart, and he can tell you, he's getting so good now at the age of almost 11 that he can tell you just about the percentage. He doesn't even know how to do percentages, but he'll give me the percentage that the crystal is charged. And so this is the kid who got me started on my path, and he did that by telling me one morning when I was ready to go nuts, and it was the 12-hour day had just begun, because I was not a stay-at-home mom. I have 2 adult daughters, but I was a working mom, so the idea of taking care of kids, and it was actually a glorious time. I loved it, but it still was very, very different to be this stay-at-home grandma type person. And I was wanted to go, I was losing it this first thing in the morning because it was like herding feral cats trying to get them dressed. And he said, while we're on our way to getting going, because that was my thing, was if we don't get going, we're going to miss it. What, the date with the neighbors to go to the park, we're going to miss it? I mean, that I was still running everything like it was a law practice. And he said, while we're getting going, can we look at the dirt? And I was exasperated, but I heard that little voice said, shh, listen to him. And I said, why do you want to look at the dirt? And he leaned forward, eye to eye, soul to soul, full body chills now still. There's treasure in the dirt. And so we did. And we got so lost in the dirt in the moment that the neighbors had to come find us, and then they got lost in the dirt in the moment. And it wasn't so much about the treasure in the dirt, though I do encourage everyone, go look at the dirt, feel the dirt, experience the earth in that way. Whether you find physical treasure or not, there is treasure in the dirt. What he taught me was to slow down and come into the present moment, and that opening was just wide enough for the divine to come through and say, okay, now we really want to work with you. And I began studying and training and developing my own daily practice, and from there to here I am. And it's been 8 years. It'll be 8 years in July since I quit the practice of law and moved out here.
Wow.
So when I listen to my introduction of the trial lawyer in me, and then I think, like, that just seems so remote. But 8 years is, I'm 61, so 8 years is not very long.
No, and mine was the same. I think mine's been about 8 years, and it seems like a whole another lifetime. It's that old world, you know.
Yes.
It just is so bizarre. Yeah.
It is bizarre. That's a good word.
Yeah, when you think about it, and it's like, wow, you know, it's almost like two different people. It's very interesting. So did you ever remember having, you know, being able to communicate with the divine realm, or, you know, prior to this work now, or is it just all new coming in that's opened up for you?
You know, honestly, it's an interesting question. I've never answered it this way. I've never considered it this way. But, yes, I did in the 70s when I took hallucinogenic drugs. And I didn't know anything about processes that spiritual people use, like ayahuasca or anything. I knew peyote, psilocybin, those sort of sacred, native, indigenous ways to open and expand your consciousness done under the tutelage of a shaman or a medicine man, or however one might choose to do that. And yet that's what I was experiencing, a version of that, and I would know things. I had past life experiences multiple times. I communicated, with the divine directly in conversation, and then my friends and whoever I was around would, allow that because we were all high. And I think at that time, in order for me to be able to go deeper, I needed that experience. So, for example, when I met the father of my first daughter, I was 14, and he was 18, and I met him at a party, and I walked into the room, and he turned and looked at me and started talking to me. He was very charismatic, and most of the people were younger than he. They were, my age and a little older. So he was a rock bass player, so gorgeous guy. I mean, everybody in the room was like listening to him. And I walked in, and he turned and looked at me and said, "What do you think?" And in that moment, I heard a voice that said, "You will have his child." And I was like, "What? I'm a virgin." That was one of the first times and I knew it. I knew that it was true. I didn't speak of it until, many, many years later, because there was obviously some years before that, I guess, prophecy, if you will, came to be. But throughout the course of our on-again, off-again relationship, and then when we had broken up, and I knew I needed to go, I knew if I did a certain thing and was at the beach at the certain early time, it didn't make sense. This guy is a musician. He keeps late hours. He doesn't get up early. But I knew that if I walked the beach at 8 o'clock in the morning, after my driver's ed course on my way to work, I would eventually find him, because we had lost touch and I didn't know where he was. And sure enough, I ran into him, and we weren't together at that point, but long enough for me to get pregnant and have my daughter. And when I was doing that, I heard, when I was taking that trip, going out of my way to go to the beach to walk, to get on another bus, to go to work, I knew that I was following. It was as if I was being led by the divine, and I knew it. I knew that this was something I came here in this life to do, and that I must do it. And I was very clear. Again, I did not speak to anyone about it at the time, and I could have. My mother was open to all manner of things, but it didn't feel necessary, and it felt almost like that was a violation of the sacredness of the pact or the contract. I had no idea who I was talking with, communicating with, being led by. There wasn't any questioning of it on my part. There was no need to know, which is really interesting now that I'm sharing this for the first time on any show. I've never shared these deep personal layers of my life, but it just was. And that's, for me, to accept that without all that mental mind. I was very, I was a type AAA person. I made things happen. I got pregnant, finished law school. I went to the University of Chicago when I was pregnant. Then I went to law school. I mean, I was doing all this stuff, and nothing was going to stop me because that's how I functioned. And that did turn off, once I got pregnant and then had my daughter. It turned off some of that for a time, because you can't do both. You have to, you have to have it in balance. You have to have the mental mind and the creative, the right brain, the divine feminine. You have to be in sync, and I was out of sync because I was trying to make it all work out. In fact, my first year of law school, partway through, I remember thinking, I can't do this. These are not my people. And then I heard the voice again, no, they're not your people, but you're here. And I said, yeah, and I got to stay here. No, you don't. Yes, I do. Why? And because I have a degree in history, because I like history, and I knew I was going to law school, and I'm not going to teach. Well, what do I do now? I teach. That's part of what I do is I teach. I do master classes and so forth. And even this, what we're doing, you and I are teaching in a broad sense of things. And I shut that down because I was $10,000 in debt from loans and that was an enormous amount of money in the late 70s, early 80s. And for me, it was just, that was so practical. Like, nope, can't do it, got to keep going forward. Now, I was obviously also meant to be a lawyer, and part of my journey as a lawyer is what was needed to open to my gifts and open to more direct channeling and to that clairgnostic ability that is most prominent for me now, of just that direct knowing, which is what I was experiencing when I met my daughter's father. That was a clairgnostic receiving of the information that, yes, I am going to have his child, and I am meant to have this child, and it has, of course it has to do with me, but it has more to do with her. This soul has selected us to be her parents, and whatever that means to her, I've got to honor that. That was the clairgnostic knowing. So by the time I came out here, that's when I finally dropped everything with the help of the Buddha boy and the accountant to be able to allow myself to trust what had always been coming through and to explore at those deeper layers, what does it mean and how can I use it to be of service, because that's all I ever wanted to do, was to do good and be of service. That was that early calling, that desire to be a nun. I wanted to make a difference and to help people and help people feel better. And once I connected all the dots, then I was able to open, and with fearless trust and a willingness to let go of that which did not serve me, all those layers of stuff. I mean, it was a jump off a cliff to quit the practice of law and come out here. And it didn't last. Taking care of the kids didn't last. It was a couple of years, and then it was like, now what are you going to do? And they're the drive. Fortunately, I did still have enough of that type AAA to get me through the quest to open, and here I am. So,
it definitely is a jump off the bridge to go from the old world into the new. It really is. And I almost think it's required. It's just like you have to absolutely surrender and trust.
Yes.
Yeah. So talk about, let's talk about your resetting our neural pathways. Can we do that to flow in abundance?
Well, you don't have to jump off the cliff, as you and I did, from the old world to the new, and yet there is an energy of that. There really is. You have to be willing to reset your neural pathways. You have to be willing to let go of the old order of things, the old ideas, patterns, thoughts, limiting beliefs. You have to be willing. I had someone ask on a Facebook page from another show that I have been on, and I had posted something a little while back, and she said, it was like, if you want to tap into the energetic frequency of this, say this, and it was I am something or other. And this woman said, and I don't even know who this person, so this was like, wow, you're really coming at me in public. It's not a closed Facebook page with this. I've been clearing and releasing for 25 years, and I'm still right here, and nothing has changed, and I'm not opposed to affirming. I mean, it was literally, when I read it, like a slap in the face to me, energetically. Not that she was slapping me in the face, but energetically it felt like that. And I had to breathe and walk away because I bought into her heaviness and her density and her connection to the old. And I could see it and feel it right in what she had posted, that this is why right here. Now, how do you express that? If I had been in a session or in an interview as we are now and we can talk through it, that's a lot easier. But how do I express in a couple of lines that are not that are appropriate and compassionate and loving? You are right here expressing your unwillingness to hold the space for this higher frequency that you say you've been seeking for 25 years. And so I had to take some time. This is the process of the resetting, right? I had to step back from the influence of the old and take that time in stillness and silence. It wasn't long. And then I could come back and say, yes, clearing is important, very important, as is releasing. It is equally important to hold the frequency of the experience that you seek to have. And that is what an affirmation or an intention does. It reminds us every time we say it, and then transmits that frequency out into the world. We are literally surrounded by frequencies, some man-made in terms of the internet and Wi-Fi and all that stuff, and some naturally occurring in nature through the earth and the trees, and then the rest of it is the frequencies that we are flowing as human beings. The science has shown that every person's energetic field is 20 feet around. So every time you come within 20 feet of another person, even if they're on the other side of a wall, if you live in an apartment or adjoining houses, you're connecting with their energetic field. And if you are not mindful and present to what you're picking up and be willing to let that go, you cannot reset your neural pathways and flow in a different frequency. You have to do the work to hold the space as well as the other layers. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Wow. So it really is being conscious of, before you react to something, really not being in the old way of being, but like you said, holding the frequency that we wish to have, for the desired outcome.
Right. Like think of it this way. So to reset your keeping in mind, we're talking about how do you reset your neural pathways, right? So there's the clearing, the releasing, the energy resetting work, and then there's your part, which is holding a receiving frequency, sending out what you want to receive. So think about if you've ever been in a live performance of any sort. I have been all my life blessed to be surrounded by actors and musicians and spoken word people, and I've been at many performances. And my sister once recently, about a year ago, said, I'm the first to enter the stage. It's a funny moment, but because nothing has happened yet and I'm only on the stage, people don't feel comfortable to laugh, and I know you do, so could you please laugh loud? And I said, okay, because I can do that. I can laugh loud if something is funny. And I laugh, and then everybody starts laughing. Now, is that follow the leader? I don't know. I don't care. I know that when I lighten the frequency with my laughter, people join in. Now they're lightening the frequency, and now all of a sudden we are flowing in that frequency of laughter and joy and delight, which is where you're meant to be when you're watching a live performance that's funny. So it's the same experience with this, is that if you wish to have the experience of abundance, you firstly must know you have to have it in all areas of your life. That's why people who are super rich and not awake and not conscious and mindful and spiritually open are miserable, because money is not abundance. It's not actually anything but an energetic frequency. And if you think that having a lot of it stored up and tucked away and locked up is going to do anything, you're wrong, because for it to flow, it needs to flow freely for it to be effective. So if you want to be abundant, then you have to flow that frequency out into the world, into the universe, into all that is. Again, just as you were talking about, Patty, about how you find your speakers. You hold the space to attract those that are going to speak to your community and have something new and fresh and important and fun to offer. And then the two of you, however it happens, whether it's you seeing them or them seeing you, and then you connect. That's because you send that frequency out and the universe meets it and brings it back to you. The flow is happening there. So if you, as that woman did, drop down into this isn't working, all I ever do is have more problems, I clear, nothing ever changes, I'm not going to affirm anything that isn't real because it's not happening and I don't understand how this is supposed to happen. So I write back to this woman that it's holding the frequency, and rather immediately she said, oh my gosh, I forgot, thank you so much. Now, I was feeling her sort of hostility and fear and desperation and frustration, which I get, because it's nothing about any of this is easy if you're focusing on how hard it is. And yet that's true for everything. Like the day that you are present in the moment goes so easily, but the day that you're living in the past or you're leaning into the future feels like an eternity of torture because you're not present. So once I gave her that reminder, she boom, jumped up to that frequency of the abundance that she wants and was grateful. Another key ingredient in resetting your neural pathways. And so this is what we all, every day, myself, you, I don't care, the Dalai Lama, all of us have to be mindful and conscious every day of where our thoughts are and whether we're listening to our heart and what frequencies are we allowing in that might not even be of our own creation, and then be willing to shift out of that even if the external circumstances surrounding you are horrible. I remember Oprah once saying that the happiest people she had ever met, like literally the happiest family she ever met, was a very poor family in India. I don't know how she was visiting them or why, but she went to their house and had tea, and it was like they were living in a small 8x8 room, a family of 4 or 5, to where when they were all sitting in the main room, the mother and father could reach to the side under the curtains to pull all the stuff out to start the little fire, the whatever you call it, like a gas stove thing, pull that out, pull the tea out, make the tea. She said, I've never met happier people. My younger daughter has traveled overseas a bit and did some work in Uganda, and she said these were the poorest, happiest people I ever met. Now, does that mean you have to be poor to be happy? No. But when you are focused on your happiness, it doesn't matter if you have all the stuff. Likewise, conversely, if you have all the stuff and you're not focused on the frequency of happiness, if you are letting the neural pathways, the dominant default neural pathway in your brain be the one that says it's never enough, you've got to have more money, you're never going to be satisfied or happy. So all that together is how you reset your neural pathways. And while you do need the assistance of someone who can help you clear and fix whatever is out of order, out of alignment in your energetic field or in any of your bodies, if you do nothing more after listening to this show, then begin to notice where your default energetic frequency is. So when you wake up in the morning, do you dread the day? And if so, reset that thought right then. Let it go, send it down into the earth, and then bring in happiness and joy, even if you don't really feel it in the beginning, just as in that audience where my sister was in the play. Those people weren't feeling their laughter until I laughed first, and then they felt it. So, too, when you wake up in the morning feeling dread and misery at the day ahead, if you, in turn, release that and bring in the vibration of the day that you wish to have, and you'll find that you can go about the exact same things that you have to do in the day, but with lightness and a certain way of being that feels much better. That's your part of resetting your neural pathways. I can do everything. Healers can do everything for you. You can have everything reset, and then you go home and you start running the old stories, the old paradigms, thoughts, limiting beliefs, and it's all gone. It's like if you do a cleanse and then you go and eat McDonald's. The cleanse is no longer effective because you ate McDonald's.
Right, right. So how does the power of our breath fit into helping us move through shifts and changes and challenges?
So if you think about the breath is life, and the power of a deep breath is that of resetting the vibration within your body. So think about how you're breathing. Just imagine, close your eyes right now, and imagine how you feel when you're running late. And it's some meeting or appointment or a class, or it's your yoga, or it could be the most innocuous or the most important of appointments, but you're running late. And if you really just take a moment now, we'll go back and get rid of this. Feel into it. Like me right now, my chest is tightening. My breath is lightening. I'm not really conscious that I'm breathing anymore. I'm just focused on the stress of I'm late and I'm not going to make it. If I stop, now everyone do this, stop right now and take a really deep breath in through your nose, like keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Pause. Let that oxygen circulate, and now let it go through your mouth with a little bit of sound. Now do it again. Breathe in. Keep going. Hold it. Take a little bit more. Now let it go. One more time. Breathe in. Pause. Let a little more in, and let it all go. Now, wherever you felt the anxiousness or whatever you felt, the stress of that exercise of imagining yourself how you're breathing and how you're feeling when you're late to something that matters, feel into it now. Observe how you feel. And if you didn't do this, then listen to the replay and do it, because I am like right now, I created that anxiety in my chest, which is where I usually feel it, sometimes in my power center in my stomach. And I wasn't even doing the full breathing because I was talking you through it, but just doing that, bringing my attention to the breath and breathing in those long, deep, slow breath in with an equal exhale, maybe even a little bit longer on the exhale, it triggers your body to reset to a calm vibration. So that's why if you're about to meditate, if you're about to do some visioning work, if you are about to do your intentions and your affirmations, 3 deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth are very powerful in order to reset your body to a level of greater calm and peace where you can be more receptive to what the divine is offering you. So if you are at that agitated, shallow breath state, you are not open to receiving because everything starts tightening up because your body is trying to get enough oxygen through it. So everything starts to go into a tight, stressful type of response. And if you do it long enough, the shallow breathing, you're going to move into the fight, flight, or freeze mechanism because you're sending the message to your body, both your, well, more, not both, to all of your bodies, mental, physical, emotional, and energetic or spiritual. You're sending the vibration to your bodies that something bad is happening, and that's what will trigger the fight, flight, or freeze response, which is completely puts a wall between you and the divine. You can't receive. You can't flow an abundant frequency. All the resetting of your pathways will be undone if you aren't breathing mindfully, consciously, and deeply through those moments of stress or challenge, and also through those moments where you are seeking a greater opening. There's much power in the breath. Great power.
Wow. I could feel it. You know, I didn't get into that, you know, that high stress feeling that you had, but it's almost like you're just dropping like levels, you know, after doing the breathing. It just like feels so good.
And you know what? You just made me realize part of the way I flow information and the way I receive is I have learned to work with it so it doesn't take me out, but I take on the others. Like the way I know you have an issue in this part of your body is that part of my body activates. So why I felt so much in my chest was the group. The group energy was coming towards me as I said, feel that stress. I got it. So what you did is the way you want to do it. You want to breathe and keep your own energy yours and not take in the external, whether it's cultural, societal, or the person next door. That's another key component to resetting your neural pathways is that you can't take on that of the other because that's not going to help you. Well, I suppose you could if that person was a high vibrational being who's flowing all goodness and light, then take it on and bring their energy into yours. But I'm joking because you really don't want to do that anyway. But it's just it's a lot. It's way easier to fall out of flow, which is what you want to reset your pathways to, is the level of flow, if you are not following your breath and mindful of your energetic boundaries as well as your thoughts and everything else. Okay, I said everything else because I just thought, okay, this is what I teach in 6 months, how you do this. So there's a lot more to it, but this is the surface. This is the core.
Right. And your special offer, I know, taps into this as well, and we're going to talk about that in a bit. But I would love if we can tap into our audience and let them have a chance to work with you, if that feels right. Okay. All right. So we have lots of hands up, lots of questions on the webcast, and we're going to try and get as many as we can. Let's see. We're going to go to Kansas. I think it's Martha, and the last 4 digits are 0018. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Is it Martha?
Thank you so much for taking it.
Hi. You're welcome.
So, hi. Uh,
I,
my thing
Kind of
that
breaking
I have
up
that keeps
on
going
for
through.
me.
I think you're breaking up, Martha. Yeah. Yeah, I think.
Okay. If too much, just let me know when we can. Don't worry about it.
That's a little bit better.
Okay. I had a abuse pit, and then I got into very abuse marriage.
Okay, now
so
it's back to breaking up.
Yeah, I think she's breaking up too much. Yeah, Martha, maybe
Can
if
you
you want to try
another part of
calling in
the
again.
room?
Yeah, I think
if I
she's
want to
breaking
what?
up too much. Try calling in again, and I'll pick up on you again. I think it might be your line. It's just breaking up so much we can't get the question straight.
Okay.
Okay, and then raise your hand again. Yeah. Thank you, Martha. We're going to jump back to her. Let's see. Let's try Massachusetts. I think it's Joyce, and the last four digits are 1810. See.
Hi, yes.
Hi. Is it
this
Joyce?
is Joyce. Yes, it is.
Hi. Thanks for
Hi.
calling. What's your question?
Well, I'm going to ask the question you suggested on the internet. What area most needs flushing so that I can grow to receive and manifest abundance in all areas with ease and grace?
That's a really big question. I know I wrote it, but that's a really big question. So, Joyce, thanks for being willing to ask that mighty question. So what I see is that instead of you receiving energy, and this is not 100% true. It's not that your crown is shut at all. It's just that it does not, from old patterns, paradigms, past life, it also feels like it's coming from your mother's genealogical line. So it's a lot of stuff you brought in that's implanted in your cells and your DNA. It doesn't feel safe to receive that divine light directly through your crown, and it also does not feel safe to be abundant and to shine full out. So instead of the energy coming down through your crown, your third eye, into your neck, going down through all your energy centers, it's coming in at the level of the neck where it connects with the shoulders. So if you take your fingers and find that spot on the left and the right side of your neck where it connects with the shoulders, that's where the energy is coming in, and then it makes a V. It's very beautiful because it actually is creating a heart, and it goes sort of towards the outside of your heart chakra, and then the point comes in at your power center. So you've got this heart energy flowing, but only partway through and not coming from above and going all the way through. So you want to invite that heart to expand up so that the top point where the two mounds connect is at the crown, and then draw that bottom point down past your root chakra. Does this make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
And do you meditate?
No,
Yes,
I don't.
Meditate. That's what will do this. This is why it's happening in part. So you've got the setup from what you came in with and these subconscious, unconscious programming and beliefs, and then you're not doing your part through a solid daily practice. That's part of what's in the package is 5 daily practice points, and it's very simple, and it's not complicated. It isn't easy because you have, until you get enough juice going from having a solid meditation practice and supporting yourself in all the other ways, it doesn't really feel good. It feels like one more thing to do. But with a dedicated meditation practice where you're going into stillness and silence every day, opening to feeling where your energy is running, you would be able, let's just do it right now. So close your eyes. Okay. And I want you to imagine pulling up, just energetically, imagine you're pulling up that point where the two humps of the heart meet from your heart space, and everyone can do this. Pull it up above your head, Okay, you there? You just imagine it. And now you've got the two humps of the heart flowing out around you. And now we're going to imagine accessing that point in your power center where the bottom point is, and imagine pulling it down. You can even imagine calling in the hands of your higher self. Just visualize as if it were a cartoon, these hands coming in and pulling that point down below, like all the way down to your knees, okay? So now the heart is going outside of you with the two humps and the entry point above your crown, and you're going to imagine that you are calling in divine white light from the heavens above and letting that flow through your crown, through that center point of the heart, and all the way through down to your root. And when it reaches the bottom of the heart, right, you can let it recycle up along the outside and flow back in. So you're continuing to receive as you are recycling what you've already received to extend and empower your energetic frequency to flow at the level of love and light, which is what that heart symbolizes. And that's good for everyone to do, because it's actually what you had was a dysfunctional heart orb, and once you pull it up and down so that it's in the right location, energetically flowing in your meditation. See, this is the invitation to you to develop a dedicated practice, because you can begin to learn to do these things yourself. And how fun is that? You could have been flowing heart orb light all your life. Now you can.
Yay. It feels better.
Yay,
it feels good doing that. Yeah. I can feel the difference already. Yes.
Yeah. And to everyone, to you, Joyce, and to everyone, don't get frustrated that you can't do it straight up. I mean, you heard the very briefest of my story and how much was coming through for how many decades before I really let it in and began to learn how to work with it. So it's okay if it doesn't, like, nothing's happening. I'm following my breath and nothing's happening. Okay, so now follow your breath some more. Listen to a guided meditation. Listen to this and then reset your heart orb. Do something to connect to your inner self, to the truth and light of you in stillness and fullness, in wholeness with the divine. And that is how you get to the place where you flow in the frequency and the matrix of abundance.
Okay.
Good work,
I
Joyce.
will. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Joyce. And, with the frequency so high now on the planet, things happen more rapidly than they did years ago. So
that's true. And, I just heard that the children that are being born right now are, how we've gone through the indigos and the rainbows, and this person was speaking and saying that the kids being born now are the violet flame color, violet energy, and it's the highest vibrational frequency that people, 3D people, have ever embodied. So they're having trouble, and hence, and I'm saying this to speak, well, I don't even know this person's name, I couldn't tell you, but she wasn't saying that. That's why there's this rise in ADD and ADHD and spectrum and autism and all that stuff, because they don't know how to be in a body. So if we know how to be in a body, we just need to come to where we learn how to be in our energetic body, knowing that being patient, right, and not judging ourselves because we're not getting it faster. I mean, the same way as these kids are coming in with this high frequency, and they're like, whoa, what am I supposed to do with this body? We got the body thing down. So we got that going for us.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so we're going to move on. We're going to go to California. We're going to go, I think it's Kim. Last four digits are 4744.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. Is
Hi.
it Kim?
This is Kim.
Hi, Kim.
Hello.
Thanks for calling. What's your question for Beth?
Oh, I gotta find the one about what is my. Sorry, I lost it. What is my clearing for the abundance? It's the really long question.
Okay, I got it. So
you know it.
I do. I don't know I couldn't tell you the question, but I know what it is. So
What needs
that's
flushing?
part of it. There you go, flushing. Part of it is trust for you, is that you are more comfortable in that left brain masculine, the linear order is more comfortable to you. And in order to tap into exponential expansion and to flow in the matrix of abundance, you've definitely got to bring more balance. You, like me, how I was much more comfortable having that masculine be very strong. Does this resonate with you?
Absolutely.
So
very much so.
I love to-do lists, checking off stuff, even if it wasn't what I really needed to do that day. I just love checking it off. Do you like lists and checking off the stuff on the list?
I would create a list and make a list on it.
There you go. I do it. So you want to begin to let your focus move to the right side of your brain. So that is the creative, inspired, the divine feminine area. Now you need both, right? But you need to let your heart lead and then let the mind follow. He serves, she leads. That's the total opposite order that you're running now. And so there's a blockage in your throat, like from your third eye to your heart. It's like a cross, except it's more like what you would use if you were going to have a pie cutter that only cut the pie into 4 slices. It's really, it's the shape of a cross, but it's not about being on the cross. And that needs to be cleared so that you can because it starts just above the third eye, and it's literally dissecting your left and right brain. So we can't do that now. It's too much. The guidance is that's too much. But feeling into, do you meditate?
I do.
Yes, I feel that. So if you focus on this dissection thing, it comes from just above, feel into it now, just above your third eye, down to like right in between your breasts, and then it crosses over just under your chin through your throat chakra. So feel into it and begin visualizing it melting or pulling out, drop it down into the earth, and then do a little heart orb around your head to bring the left and the right into balance. That will really help.
Beautiful.
And before you make a list, go into silence and ask, do I need this list? And wait till you get the answer if you even need the list. I still do make lists, not as much as I used to, but I found along the way, letting go of the list was a part of me rebalancing my left and right brain to begin to hear my right brain more. And that's how you're going to move into the frequency of abundance, is to activate your right brain and just let him wait. He's not being turned off. He's not being diminished. He's just being told, like, okay, you've been working real hard for a real long time, and now we're going to let you take a pause, and you can wait until she tells you what to do.
Beautiful. Thank you so very much. Everything you said resonates. Beautiful.
Good. I'm glad.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you for calling in.
I love that. So, Beth, let's talk about your special offer for a few minutes, where you also have an opportunity for people to work with you as well. So I'm going to let you talk about resetting your neural pathways to flow in the Matrix of Abundance package. You have package A and a package B.
So, I was thinking about it and feeling into it before I meditated for the show. And I for the first time, received the guidance and the knowing, I think because it's the first time I actually asked, like, what is it that will really tell people whether, enough information that they can then feel in from their heart, from their right brain, is this work for me? And then came the idea, the knowing, the understanding that everything in this package is going to inform and support and lift you into gaining the tools that you need to do the work every day to stay in the frequency. So you can work with me, you can work with others, and that is necessary. That's why the one-on-one session is invaluable, because I see things and I can clear them, and I can give you much more attention. I mean, even the attention that Joyce and Kim got was more than is often allowed on a show. It's just that your energy, Patty, is very relaxed and present, so you allow it to go a little bit deeper. But on most shows that I'm on, it's like, here's what you got, and then you go away and you're like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do about it? So this package has been divinely guided and created to give you a full complement of what you would need to begin the journey of resetting your neural pathways to flow in the matrix and frequency of abundance all the time. So the one-on-one session gives you the clearing and the release, and even, though it's one session, you can gain understanding of what more needs to be done. And then in the two-part workshop, which includes another opportunity to work with me, like in this format, in the group format where you get the Q&A, only you can ask whatever you want. And then the lecture part gives you the information. It's all energetically infused, but it'll give you the information, the science, and the fundamentals of what's happening in your brain. And so then you know what's going on, and you can tap into it, feel into it. It's very expansive, and especially for left brain people, they need that knowledge. It also, because the course, the lecture is energetically infused, even if you're not more focused on the left brain and need that to receive, you're going to get the energetic infusion, and you'll probably have the experience of like, wow, that's really fascinating. I didn't know that was going on, where the left brain person is going to be like, that's right, that's it, that's what's happening. So it covers both types of receiving of information that people flow, and then the rest of the package is where you get the juice to support yourself daily. So the course materials, the videos and PDFs are going to give you the daily practice points, so you can begin to, if you have a daily practice and you meditate, great. Now look at this and see where you can deepen it. There's also information on how you can set high vibrational intentions and how you can move through a challenge without letting that challenge move through you, and an energy exercise video where you can help yourself set your energetic frequency as well as expel anything that you're holding that you don't need. And then there's a series of energetically infused channeled activations that are from my Fibonacci series, which is the Fibonacci sequence is a naturally recurring spiral, as it were, and a series of numbers that is tapping into the natural order of exponential expansion. So using these activations will also help you shift your energetic frequency to that opening, to that vibration of flowing in the matrix of abundance, because it's shifting your energy from I have to, for example, I have to work for an hour to get money, and you shift from that linear perspective into I am open to receiving expansive abundance, including financial prosperity, through regular use of those activations. And then I have a monthly energy healing call, which is a group thing for $35 a month. We do hour to 90 minutes, depending. Sometimes there's a Q&A after. It just depends on what the guidance is. And I tune into what the group needs, and then the divine tells me what to do. So I've included in this package 3 of the monthly calls that people have really responded to. And in fact, the healing with the violet flame, that one has to do that. The violet flame is a part of that violet energy that the kids are bringing in, the newborns. So it's very powerful, very, very powerful. And then the bonus is everybody's not good with silent meditation. Some people need some sound. So it introduces you to chanting and using mantras through some beautiful voices, and you can listen and chant out loud with it, along with it, so you don't have to count the 108. There's also a PDF that explains why we count 108 times and energetically what that does. You just go along with the sound of what's happening, and you can even just listen. So the point of the package is to support you in all these different layers and ways and to give you tools to use on your own, because it doesn't really work if everything has to be done by me. That doesn't work for me. That doesn't work for you. You need to learn to flex your divine muscle and to open and shine your light. And this package gives you the tools to build that creation, to build that structure for yourself where you can do the work and let the work do the work, so to speak, without having to constantly go to someone where there's an energetic exchange of money, because that's not really sustainable for most people. And it's kind of like going to a therapist and never implementing the things that the therapist suggests, or doctor, any practitioner. It's not going to work if you're not doing your part. So this package was guided to create a really robust toolkit for you to opening to flowing in the matrix of abundance and to reprogramming your brain, because all the stuff that's in the package works together to reset those neural pathways.
Okay. And I know I was just reading about the Fibonacci activations that you say repeated use of, listening to these really resets your frequency to flow at the level of abundance, with ease and grace. So it really is a very complete package for 127. I think that's amazing. And then we also have our 2-pay option available as well.
And then for 197, you add in the private session, which is that total amount is less than what the private session on its own costs. So it's my offering to you, Patty, to honor your invitation to introduce to your community. It's my offering to all of you to support you in your opening, awakening, and expansion. We all need support along the way. And did Martha come back on the line from Kansas?
Let me check. Let's see. I don't see Martha here.
Because this is not just for Martha, but it's for everyone, but it's brought in through Martha, because I could feel it before you called on her. And the information, the message is be patient and trust that it is happening for you and through you, and you are going to gain the tools and avail yourself of the practitioners to help you clear the stuff that it makes you stuck. So, for example, Joyce, when we talked about how she had brought stuff in through her mother's lineage and also from her past lives, you're going to most people need some help with I need help, right? I have colleagues I trade with. And so to get that clearing out of all that stuff, you need help, and yet you're going to gain the tools by just showing up to these shows. I used to be you, Martha. I used to be on this show listening all the time. I was a Telesummit junkie, right?
Me too.
I mean, I soaked in everything. I bought the packages. I did the work, and I still listen. It's how we support ourselves, right? I mean,
we're always growing. Even the
done.
masters, I understand, are always growing as well. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I just recently I'm starting a next level course, a 6-month course, and I thought, oh my gosh, now what am I going to teach these people? They just finished my first abundance masterclass, and I had to go to the woodshed, so to speak, and start learning and researching and studying and listening. I've been, again, listening to the masters and taking stuff in and gathering the information. We're never done. So be patient and know
we're never done.
that it's happening, even if it doesn't feel like it is. The fact that you're showing up here, it's happening.
Yeah, exactly. Beth, I just wanted to reiterate and make clear about Package B, that Package B includes all of Package A that you talked about, the 2-part workshop and all of the bonuses, plus a private session with you, a 30-minute private one-on-one session with you for $197. And then there's a 2-pay option available with that as well. So take advantage of that if you feel called to work with Beth. I know one of my dear people from a listener in Japan, Helen, she wrote. She was so excited that you were going to be on the show. She wrote to me and she said it was absolutely great that you're having Beth on the show. And she said that she recently had a session with you and says that you are powerful beyond words. She said that you saw and felt something which no intuitive psychic or healer saw. She says, I've been on this journey for more than 5 years, and there was a hole in her etheric body and an arrow stuck in my heart all the way to the back into the bone. And you took this away in one session. She says, since then, there has been no more recurring energy attacks, and she's feeling amazingly better. She said, I feel like everybody is on my side. The right information comes to me at the right time. The recurring inflammation in my body is gone, and she has a better relationship with everything in life. And at the same time, she says your intelligence together with your spiritual power explains in such a balanced manner that your perception changes with absolute clarity. And she says that she just highly recommends your healing to everyone who's listening on the show. So thank you, Helen, for letting us share that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and
I
many
love
blessings
Helen.
to my dear Hiroko.
Yeah, I love her.
Beautiful. Yeah, she's a very special woman.
She really is, and I love that. Every once in a while we get to email back and forth, and she's just a very special lady. It's just a joy to have her be part of our community. Beth, can we take another caller?
Absolutely.
Okay, because we have so many that want to talk to you. Let's see, we're going to go to Edmonton. Let's see, last 4 digits are 5575.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, who are we talking to?
Hi, this is Tamara.
Tamara.
Hi, Tamara.
What? Can you say that again, what your name is?
Tamara.
Tamara, okay.
Yes.
And what is your question for Beth? How can she help you?
What area most needs flushing so that I can open to receive and manifest abundance in all areas with ease and grace? Thank you, thank you.
So it's very interesting looking at your field. I can see it's just on fire and very active, and it needs to be calmed and settled because it's like from the center of your heart and then again from your power center, it almost looks like the sun. So if you just looked really quickly, like if you were glancing out of the corner of your eye, it would look beautiful and like they're just sort of layered these, and there's another one up in your head, but they're flowing all your energy out, and it's not opening you to receiving. So these 3 centers of, you know what it's like? It's like the pump on a water fountain.
Yes.
like a small garden fountain, and there's one just in your third eye, one in your heart, and one in your power center, and you're getting the energy in, and then it's pumping it out. So it's making it very hard for you to sustain forward movement into the frequency experience of what you want in terms of abundance with ease and grace. You're working way too hard because you're pumping out. You're like trying to light up the world with your light, and that's not how you do it. Does this make sense to you?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
So just really quickly, you definitely need to clear those 3 pumps from your system, but you also don't give your light away, and this is for everyone. Bring the light from the divine down from above, imagining that you're pulling the light from the heavens through your crown, and then you give that light away. If you want to light up the world, you can do that, because Lord knows the world needs a lot of light right now, but don't give your light away. Keep your light and give the divine light away.
Oh, wow. That makes sense. And oh my gosh, I'm just getting an energy rush through my arms and yeah, wow. Makes
and remember
sense.
that there's the back, the energy centers are all in the back too. Each chakra has a front and a back, and even though I know that, I tend to forget it. And there's an energy of that too. It's like the pump is pulling everything forward, and so there's not a lot of action on the back. So getting rid of those pumping mechanisms and then opening the flow front and back of those 3 energy centers is really going to shift. Flushing that out is going to shift the way you're able to feel and flow.
Oh, makes so much sense. I work in the oil fields as well, so maybe that's why.
Wow! Oh my gosh, full body chills. Yep, you're like taking on the energy. Oh, that's kind of heavy actually. You're taking on the energy of the earth and the sadness and the grief of her being pumped out, and you're doing it to compensate. So you just send her healing. Do the Ho'oponopono prayer. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thanks, I love you. And if anyone doesn't know what that is, you can look it up. It's a very phonetic, Ho'oponopono, and you can find stuff on the internet about this ancient shamanic prayer of forgiveness. It's not about, clearly Tamara didn't do anything. She's just working in the oil fields, but she, by intoning, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thanks, I love you, she's helping Mother Earth to break the grief frequency that's flowing and sending that out to all the other people who are being disrespectful of the earth and damaging her. That will shift that too. So yes, that is why. So be mindful that you cannot fix her by taking on her pain.
Oh, wow. Wow, Beth. I just get tears.
You've got a huge heart and you're a healer, so you want to heal, but you got to do it the right way so you're not you're diminishing your own power.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Wow. So amazing, so beautiful. I'm just in tears.
Yeah, let the tears flow. That's how we cleanse. Let that go, because you've been holding Mother Earth's pain. So you got to let those tears flow.
I feel earthquakes. I feel tsunami. It'll come through my body.
Mm-hmm. So another thing for you and for anyone who works with the earth or feels really connected to the earth, you really need to ground yourself in a cocoon-like connection where you're pulling, like when I ground with people before a process, we take from the body and send down, and then from the body up to connect. If you're going to work with the earth, you need to pull it up from the earth and bring it over your head, and then down from the sky under your feet. So you're creating this double-layered cocoon, and it will be much less disruptive to your energetic field if you guard yourself and shield yourself in that way before doing any work with the earth.
Ah, wow.
And I think for you do that before you go to work, too. Ground that way, that cocoon grounding.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, wow, Beth. Oh, mahalo.
Mahalo. Blessings to you, my dear. Keep doing what you're doing.
Okay. Well.
Much love to you.
Oh, thank you. Ahui ho.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tamara. Wow, I could feel that.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, thank you for sharing, Tamara. That was, that I think it kind of took us all a little bit aback how much energy she's taking in.
Yes, and it's my own mother studied in the 80s with what was then and probably may not ever have. Barbara Brennan's School of Healing was like textbooks, and it was a year-long course. It was the most well-established energy healing school, may be the most well-established ever in terms of how it was presented. It was like going to college. And she did that work along with being a college professor for a number of years, and then at some point she stopped doing that. I mean, she meditates every day. She's very open, all that, teaching the grandsons all about the astral and the etheric and everything, and yet she's so negative and has this heaviness about her. It's gotten better since I started doing this work and started calling her for advice, but I was really befuddled. Like, I don't understand. Like, is my mom a lapsed energy healer? And then in training, someone said, oh, no, she's doing what Tamara was doing. She's taking on the pain of the world. That woman has her ear on NPR 24/7. She knows every horrible thing that's going on in the world all the time, and she will not stop listening. And that's when I was saying this to the person I was training with, and she tuned in and said she's taking on the world's pain to heal it, and it can't be done that way. And it's making her in pain and sick and negative, and so nobody do that. That's not the way to do it. You bring the light in and you flow it out, and you use the tools, the prayers, the ancient wisdom. Do your research, do your work with me or whoever, and learn how you can make a difference, make a mighty difference on the planet without diminishing yourself and without getting wonky in your own body and energy, because you're trying to be of service, but you're doing it in a way that depletes you.
Right. Sending love just, really opens up far more than you could ever do by just taking it all in. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Beth, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your amazing work with all of us and your special offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you for having me, and thank you, everybody, whether you're on the call live or on the replay. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for shining your light. Thank you for being willing to go deeper and do more to heal yourself, the planet, and all living beings. We need every one of you doing everything you've got. Now is the time. This is the place, and you are the one. So thank you for showing up.
That. Yeah. Wow. Amen. Thank you all for being here. Take advantage of working with Beth, and you will know because it will call you, and you're meant to align with her. So thank you all for being here. We're sending you all much love and big hugs. Big hugs, Beth. Much love to you. And with that, we're going to say goodbye to everyone. Bye-bye now.
Bye for now, everybody.